So, today we finally finished, the second story, right? Story 2, and Struck by Lightning, book written by author Sid Webster Beecham. So we're going to do a wrap up of the second story. Let me see. This story has 9 sections. So if you haven't, you can catch up on those on YouTube. And comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if you're new to this information. And so we're going to go through each part and have a discussion on the dysfunction that's going on in this particular relationship.
Yep.
So we'll start with part 1, which is titled What Is It?
Yep.
So What Is It was just I swear this could be a little turned into some kind of series on Netflix or something. Because What Is It just floored me when I read it.
I mean, imagine being so comfortable in your daily routine that you're not even worried about getting caught. You know what I mean? And that was Lewis. I feel like he was experiencing Tanya sleepwalking through their relationship, and he could just do and say whatever he wanted to her. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, I mean, because, she gets off work early. How easy is that? And that happens a lot. You know what I mean? That people get so comfortable and know they ain't doing right either. And, I feel that Tanya was sleepwalking. She was using drugs and alcohol to numb her brain in that relationship.
Right.
And she busted in on Lewis, and that woke her ass up.
Yeah. Yeah, but she still, wanted to, she wasn't ready to leave her addiction.
She was in shock at that moment, because as we move on, into part 2, which is called The Real Truth, that's where she starts reflecting, on how did she get here, and then when I read through, I reread through it, she's still in shock and her mind is racing, like, where will she go? And the lies she's going to tell people, because she's too embarrassed to really admit that she caught her boyfriend in bed with a man. You know what I mean? So her mind is racing. She's trying to, and
Lewis is in straight denial.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And that's just a dangerous thing to be with a man. I mean, if he's not honest with himself, what makes her think?
But Carla,
that he's ever going to be honest with her?
World does Lewis think that anyone is going to believe that he was lying in bed with a man with no clothes on and they weren't doing anything? That's what kills me. Like I mean, it's insulting. Almost to think that someone, don't believe your lying eyes. But we living in a world and society like that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But not in the world that I know of. 2 grown men gonna lay in bed
with no clothes on.
And then grown straight men now.
Not what you think. Well, it's not what you think. That's Well, what was you supposed to think, though? And I wasn't even supposed to be home at that time.
And that statement really is exactly what you think, because she didn't even have said nothing yet. So you know exactly what she thought, and it was exactly what she thought.
He bust up out the bed talking about it's not what you think. Before she even opened her mouth.
It was exactly You know what I'm saying? Because right. What you thinking?
Like he read her mind.
You know what I'm saying? You know what you think, and it's exactly what she was thinking.
You know, unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Busted.
And then we get to part 3, right? Which, you know, selfish assurance. This part here, you know, and it's Tanya's selfish desires. You know, it allowed her to move her daughter into her parents' house where she had been abused by her father. Now, how is that?
Yeah, that's so real.
Did she block it out of her mind? What happened to her? Did she just like kind of just, I guess, move that all out of her psyche or something, and that allowed her to bring her young daughter back to that house where she was abused?
Right. So what was she accomplishing by moving her daughter?
She was accomplishing herself being able to stay with Lewis and not worry about her daughter being abused by that monster.
Yeah, but okay, she's put her in another situation.
I know.
That
oh my God.
I guess it was bad for her to be possibly abused by him, but.
And possibly the father maybe had stopped doing that. I don't know. I can't imagine. You know, it seems to me that she
wasn't making no sense to her brain.
No.
Because you needed to keep her daughter with her so she could try to protect her at all times from all these predators around in her circle.
And she already know her mother, the grandmother, wasn't going to be much protection. You know, as we find out later in the story. You know.
Exactly.
And she just
how she sleeps. And so that stress alone, Tanya probably most definitely wasn't gonna stop drinking and smoking weed. She's trying not even be here in real life.
I was about to say that. More mind numbing, more mind numbing, using drugs and alcohol. You know, and just you know, and the sad thing is Lewis knows that her mother doesn't want her in that house too.
Yeah. So he feel like, you know, he got her right where he want her.
Exactly, which is where I got that title, selfish assurance, because you notice he backs off after he's trying to get mad that she's leaving. And then he thinks about it, because he's like, she ain't going to be in her mother's house long, because her mother don't want her there no way, you know. So he's using her weakness against her for his own selfish desires. You know, and it's just a shame. So I don't know what type of
her selfishness too, because she should have been there with her.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying? With Psycho, so that she could continue to drink and get high at whatever, or just have some. I mean, because she still went to have sleep with him. I mean, after that.
No. Well, she had gone back so many times. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said, early on that he had gotten so comfortable with just doing whatever, with her sleepwalking. You know what I mean? That he just...
He ain't going nowhere.
Exactly. And how many people go through that? Can't believe that somebody get the muster up the energy to finally break away, But, it's just a mess. And then we move on to part 4, Buried Intelligence.
Buried Intelligence.
How sad is this? This is where the mother, you know what I mean? We're talking about the mother now, and also about his proclivity, his mother, revealing what he...
This this episode.
Yeah. And, what's amazing to me is that no one has ever called the police on this lowlife, and everyone wearing blinders, hoping for the best, not wanting to face the hard realities. And that started from his teenage years, I guess,
Yeah.
But you know what? I hate that I even think of the police in this situation too. And I think, that's a real dilemma for Black folks, because of how we know the law treats the Black community. You know what I mean? I don't know how to feel about this because, the mother probably, she ain't going to call the police on her son.
Yeah, because we don't normally get help. We get jail and murder.
And if she did get him into therapy, she says in the story.
Yeah, but, maybe, all things ain't the right therapy. Like, that's not even easy. Therapy itself is not even, the whole mental health
needs to be also addressed because, first of all, back when Black folks did not believe in it, can't trust it, there's not enough Black therapists, there's, all that going on.
Yeah.
And, maybe the therapy stopped him from raping his brother, but his other proclivities lived on.
He should have been removed from that house, Group home or something.
Yeah, but look at how group homes are, though. Is that better?
I know. It probably wouldn't have been, but, because he would have probably been in there assaulting somebody in the group home.
Or being assaulted, There's so many stories about troubled teens.
Mm-hmm.
And, so that's a real tough one there, So
on Buried Intelligence, I had put a comment that, let me read the comment that I wrote. I said, guilt is a powerful emotion, and it can be a catalyst for action. Tanya's alcohol and weed addiction has taken priority over everything and everyone's safety. Guilt itself is not enough for Tanya to demand justice for the victims of Lewis, including herself. Is becoming an accomplice. So
she became an accomplice. Wow.
Yeah. Because her guilt wasn't enough for her to either try to protect herself, her daughter,
call the daughter police out though.
Yeah.
So even though she didn't move her. I mean, you can argue that she didn't move her into a situation. We don't know if the father was still in that doing stuff like that, but the mother, it was dysfunctional there too, but she had enough sense to get her own daughter out of there, But,
I feel like Tanya at this point was becoming, complicit with the situation.
Oh, God.
She decided to stay. She didn't leave him.
Well, she was leaving him, but she kept going back.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe, and we get to that in a further story. Matter of fact, that's part 5, where we get to how she reflects on the fact that she did leave him after she learned about him raping his brother. After she caught him. She didn't catch him, but his daughter came and said how he tried to rape her. And she left that time. But then you're right. She did go back. But her own mother was pushing her back to him.
Right.
So,
now this episode really got a lot of views. Craving the Touch. I don't know if it was because of the name, but it seemed like people really were drawn to part 5 of the story. One of the comments was that I put was that Tanya feels starved and desperate for intimacy, and which has made her more susceptible to manipulation by the predator who was Lewis.
Yep.
And then Lewis offering what she thinks she needs. In addition, Lewis is skilled at what he's doing. So he notices, that Tanya is weak and desperate, and probably low self-esteem from her own history of abuse in her own home. So predators, they pick up on that stuff.
Yep. She was very needy, and he knew it. And, and he, when she left him at that point, he stayed at her for 3 months. And he did go to therapy after the daughter incident, But was she right to give him another chance? She went back after 3 months.
Right. No. Because when you go back, then they really go hard.
Yeah. And which is what happened, right? Mm-hmm. That's when he gets that selfish assurance. He's like, yup, got her back. She's back in the house. And boy, oh boy.
So he has worked in. She really the one covering everything.
Right. But he got her feeling like she needs him.
Right. And she really the meal ticket. So she really, bad.
My goodness.
Not even seeing clearly no more.
And that leads to part 6, doesn't it? That blind eye. Oh, boy. Tanya's mother,
Yeah.
Boy, oh, boy. And when we get to that, I think it's very sad about Tanya's mother because, back when, being married and having children, was so huge in so many cultures, including Black culture, too. You know what I mean? It's still huge. But it was it was so taboo. To be pregnant and not married back in her day, and her, her family forced her to marry that older man when he should have went to jail, getting a 17-year-old pregnant with his, disgusting self. And but her family made her marry that dog, and then she had to live through the embarrassment
of accepting abuse and quietly suffering. That was the culture.
Yes.
And look what it birthed. Look what it birthed.
And you're not even hiding because everybody knows what's going on.
Look at the Black community now. This is what it birthed.
Yeah. And like I said, you're not even hiding because everybody knows what's going on. So she ended up being a closet alcoholic, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just very sad, and now many women choose to be single, and you have many men who are angry about that. I don't know where the answer is, but, I was reading an article the other day about that where it said, why do people believe that women who choose to be single are lonely? It was something like that where, it's not the case. Women are choosing to be single rather than be in a toxic relationship. I think that's necessary. And it's not a bad thing. Why, it didn't use to.
How else can you hit the reset button?
I know it.
No.
And then you have these men that are upset about that, think something is wrong with you, You're not,
You're supposed to allow yourself to continue to be victimized by this one, that one, and the next one.
Just say you have a man.
Just to say you have a man, and these men are very elaborate. Some of them are very manipulative. Yep. They know how to put on a good mask. Yes. And so it's hard to go in trusting a lot of these.
Especially when you've been through something too. You're gonna have your guard up as you should,
Right.
To me, it speaks to how people, men and women, should not be seeking relationships unless they feel good about themselves.
That's number one. Yeah.
It's just not good, to be jumping in and out of relationships, never fixing yourself, never getting comfortable within yourself. because you just drag your baggage around, you're tearing somebody else down, causing casualties along the way.
Yeah.
And it's not good. It's not good.
Leaving a trail of destruction.
Yes.
So blind eye, like I said, in that episode, I said accepting the abuse and quietly suffering, it leads to destructive behavior for all involved, because all of them, the mom, Tanya, Lewis, ended up
his family
being involved. Yeah, both families ended up being involved in destructive, dysfunctional behavior. And like, how do you break the cycle?
Yep. And it's just, and then.
Yeah, Tanya learned from her mother, how to accept victimhood.
Yeah. And it included, alcohol and drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It includes self-medication, because it's not natural to think so low of yourself that you will accept this as something, and not being worthy of better. You know what I mean? So, it's just very sad.
So Tanya's mother suffered from arrested development, having to get forced into marrying an older man.
Her mother.
Mm-hmm. So she never really developed mentally.
Right.
And then also Stockholm syndrome.
Yep. That's it. So then when we move on to part 7, Legacies, that's more about, how Tanya and her sisters, had that love-hate relationship with their mother. It's their mother. So,
right.
But they had no respect for her because she didn't protect them, and
that was the love-hate relationship. Because how you not gonna love your mother, but they also, so they loved her, but they hated her and resented her at the same time.
But, here's the thing. Even with that, Tanya ran back time and time again to her mother's house too, and her mother would let her come in. It's just, she hadn't cultivated any relationships that would uplift her or her self-esteem, that whenever you needed an escape, that's your only escape, to run back to your mother's house, whom you have no respect for, and she doesn't want you there either. That's a very toxic equation also. Your escape is not even really an escape.
Exactly.
It's
And then Lewis calling the mom home.
Ain't that?
And the mom giving her the phone, not even trying to,
And I think that's on purpose. It is on purpose. The mother was never strong enough to stand up to her husband. And she doesn't really want Tanya in her house seeing how she is. She's got her own self-esteem issues. So she's like, just go on back to him. That's how women do. That's, that's our duty, I don't know what that mentality is about, but that's,
Because now, and even now, it seems like even worse now, these women are going back to these situations and getting killed, unalive.
You said unalive. Isn't that a word? Unalive. Whew. Boy, oh boy. And then chapter 8, truth be told.
Right.
So now Tanya's finally at the mother's house, and she's reliving and reviewing her time with Lewis and her life. And sadly, she concludes that she's not worthy of a better situation.
Right, which is very sad. It's very sad that she came to that conclusion.
So that's total depression to me.
I feel like, she definitely went into depression, and then to the point where she has psyched herself into feeling like she deserved him, Lewis, in a way, which is, I just was like,
But this is real situations. I mean.
And then the excuse she said, because men ain't, the man she want is supposed to be kicking down doors to get her. I mean, in what world?
I know it.
How it works. Men, I mean, people are not kicking down doors to be with other people. You have to actually go out and do some work and engage with people and conversation.
And now you just said something right there. You have to go out, do some work, and engage with people. I mean, I know people who are sitting around wondering why they're alone. I mean, you know, and they want to be with somebody, but they don't do any. They don't go anywhere, or where they go is not where they should be. You got to be around people who are where you want to be. You know.
Exactly. And so you gotta actually do the work. They're not gonna, the type of man that she thinks she deserves ain't gonna be kicking down. I mean, how would he even know where she at? You know what I'm saying?
In the bar where she picking up weed and buying drinks.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, that ain't where she should be hanging her head at, you know, thinking, you know.
No, not at the bar. Not the that she think that supposed to be kicking down the door for her. Definitely not up in the bar.
But that's her go-to, you know. And to me, that's what keeps her in that cycle, running back to Lewis. You know, if that's her go-to, the mother's house, the bar, and smoking weed and back to Lewis. That's her circle, you know. And that's a shame.
Circle of destruction.
And now we get to part 9.
Part 9.
Karma. I'll tell you.
I love the ending.
The poetic justice, ain't it?
Yes.
You know.
Yes. Lewis is a monster.
And he could not believe that she didn't answer his calls at this point. That's what got him crazy. You know. And the mother wasn't trying to help, but even her mother got mad at her for standing her ground this time.
Right.
And she just could not believe it, that Tanya was not answering his calls and all that. You know, I kind of felt good that Tanya had finally had enough. She was trying to stand her ground. Yeah. And then he going to show up at her house and end up at her job.
Yeah, now Lewis went
and drunk.
Yeah, now Lewis then got started drinking, and because he was probably in shock.
Yeah,
because that's his meal ticket. Yeah. You know, she takes his meals, so he done got desperate. So that now this could turn into a dangerous situation for Tanya, her mom, you know, everybody involved,
because she has never stood up to him like this, apparently. And he just went crazy, you know.
Showed up at her job, and I mean, now you stalking.
Yeah. And, you know, and I was just wondering, you know, she's free. It's ironic the way she got free. But will she stay free of toxic relationships?
Right.
She has to make some changes in her own life and her mentality.
Yeah.
You know, to be desperate and feeling like you have to have a man or a woman to be whole. You know, it leads to all kinds of issues. And but it's amazing that the mother called her and let her know that, and she didn't know how to feel, you know, other than she felt like, you know, she felt that guilty relief that it's over.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Because I don't think she had the strength. I really don't think she would have had the strength to stay away from Lewis.
Yeah.
If it didn't end the way it did. I think she would have ended up back with him.
I think so too. Yep. But in my opinion, this gave her that another chance at life, you know, and now she has to make the choice to take that chance, to use that.
Yeah, because it's a whole bunch of other Lewises out there just waiting
Ain't
for
that the truth? Oh God, it's like they're all over the place. You know, you have a hard time not bumping into these guys. Oh my goodness. Yep.
Right. So I enjoyed Faithful Karma, the ending.
Yeah. While I was writing this story, to be honest, a friend of mine read the draft and he was so angry about Lewis that he said, you got to kill this guy off, and that's what put that in my mind. I was like, yeah, you're right. That would be a really good way to end this. And a friend of mine kind of put that in my mind. He said, you can't just leave this guy, he's been raping his brother. He couldn't get past the fact that Lewis was raping his brother, you know what I mean? He was like, you need to kill this guy off. I was like, you think you're right.
Yeah. Dude was a doggone monster.
Out of control.
And nobody, never called the cops, or stopped him. So he thought that, he thought that nobody was going to do nothing to stop him. He could do whatever he wanted.
Well, he had been doing it ever since childhood.
Right.
He did go to therapy, though. That's the killer. It's not like he didn't get therapy, and he went to therapy again after the incident with the daughter. I guess it's just that some people need that intensive, ongoing therapy. I don't know.
They say that certain type of sexual deviance like that they just can't be cured.
Yep. So. All right, so we've actually been, going through the whole story, It's 9:30. Right. Yep, our next story starts on Sunday. I'll be putting out, messages about it on Saturday, and it's called Bells and Whistles, story number 3. I really like this story.
Yeah, Bells and Whistles is good. So hopefully, you guys listening in, again, this is a visual podcast of the book Struck by Lightning by author Sid Webster Beecher. She's doing a reading of the book, so it's almost like a audio book, but you can buy the actual book on Amazon. You can go to the website and look at the other projects and content that Sid has worked on and produced. If you want to purchase the book, we would love your support. You also can go on Patreon, and we have all the episodes there as well if you want to support that way. The project and future projects that we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
And also, like, share, and subscribe our YouTube. Yep. So that, you can follow the next story all the way to the end of the book, because we're going to keep going till we finish this book. And then once we do the completion, maybe we'll move on to the next book.
Yeah, HB.
HB. HB is my favorite because I'm a sci-fi person, so I love sci-fi and
dystopian world. It is.
Yes.
Yep.
My favorite genre. So thanks everyone who listened or who will come in and listen for the recording, and also anyone that subscribes and future subscribers and followers of this project. We want to bring more awareness to dysfunctional relationships in our community so that we can move towards a solution.
Being a better society, being better to each other.
Yeah.
We need to be better towards each other and encourage that.
Yeah, so we starting to work, and hopefully it can pick up steam with other people also getting engaged and doing the work. And so, you can start here and comment and with your suggestions on some of the situations that spoke about in this book as well. We would appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for your support, and stay tuned for story number 3 coming up next week. Thanks, Carla.
Yep.
Dr. Carla Miller, co-producer, chiropractor.
Yes.
I need to get on her channel too. She can fix you up, straighten you out, and in all sorts of ways.
Yeah. If you're local to Jersey.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely tune in, subscribe, and every Sunday we drop. So we'll be starting the next story. Today is May 4th, Thursday, and we'll be starting next story on Sunday. What's the date for Sunday?
Is
May 9th.
May 7th.
No.
Yeah.
7th. Yeah. It's May 7th. So